coming to you today with lots of hope. And I know you probably say that in the present political climate in the U.S., how in the world could you even mention hope? But I'm filled with hope because you are here. You know, many of you have been wonderful supporters of results, financially and by writing letters and supporting us in the work that we do. And some of the things that we've accomplished together is cutting in half the number of children under the age of 5 dying of preventable disease and malnutrition. Such as enabling, through PEPFAR and other programs that we have gotten Congress to support, 11 million adults to be on AIDS medication. They're working and raising their families instead of dying. And millions of women are receiving tiny loans, enabling them to start small businesses and work their way out of poverty. You have impacted the lives of millions of people living in poverty. Thank you for that. This past summer, I was the only member of Results Austin able to go to Washington, D.C. But I was not alone. I carried over 150 letters from people in Central Texas, some of them right here, and I delivered them personally to the offices of members of Congress. When the letters written from folks in Houston and Dallas and Fort Worth were combined with the ones that I carried from Austin, I was able to personally hand 109 letters in support of the Global Partnership for Education to Senator Ted Cruz. Yeah. 112 letters went to Senator Cornyn's office. All right. Congressman McCall, Doggett, Williams, Florence, Carter, and Smith all had letters from their constituents hand-delivered to their offices. That big stack of letters I carried made me smile all the way to Washington. And I'm still excited about that, and those letters give me hope. And I'm filled with hope because, as Ann mentioned, the READ Act has been passed by the House and the Senate and signed by the President. The READ Act will improve the lives of millions of children around the world who at the present time do not have access to a quality education. In addition, the bill will strengthen accountability and the transparency of global education programs to ensure that every dollar is spent wisely. I am hopeful because when I was up in Washington this past July and visited the offices of the members of Congress, I found that their staff were very knowledgeable and well informed about global poverty and global education and global health. We are nonpartisan. We work with folks on both sides of the aisle. My own Congressman, Michael McCall, signed onto the READ Act without me asking him. Congresswoman Kay Granger from Fort Worth did the same thing. Both of them did this because of strong relationships with Results members that have been built over the years, where we shared the importance of education for ending poverty. Last session, along with 2 Democrats and another Republican, Mr. McCall introduced the Reach Every Mother and Child Act. This legislation would help scale up the solutions that we know work to save the lives of 15 million children and 600,000 women by 2020. Results and our allies guided this bill through the legislative process, acquiring 219 co-sponsors. That is over a half of the House of Representatives. Wow. Yeah. In the Senate, there were 36 co-sponsors, over a third of the Senate. Unfortunately, it was never brought to the floor for a vote. So my hope does not suggest that our efforts are easy, but that persistence brings success. Earlier this year, the Reach Every Mother and Child Act was reintroduced in the Senate with bipartisan support. Just yesterday, I learned that it has now been reintroduced in the House. With hope and persistence, results activists across the nation will be contacting their senators and their representatives and asking them to support the legislation again. I am filled with hope because Results has active volunteers in all 50 states for the first time ever. That means that every one of those U.S. senators is hearing about our commitment to fighting poverty here in the U.S. and around the world. More and more people long to have an impact and are finding that joining Results provides the training and the support to become successful advocates in a positive, powerful, and purposeful way. I'm filled with hope because in this country we have the freedom to speak up. We have the freedom to tell our elected officials that what we want them to do. And advocacy is a precious right, and I am thankful for that right. I am hopeful because I volunteer with an organization that is committed to equity. Because I volunteer with an organization that is committed to justice. Because I volunteer with an organization that is committed to leaving no one behind. With commitments like that, how can one not be hopeful? A better world is ahead if we support these commitments with our time, with our talent, and with our treasure. I am hopeful that you will want to lend your support to these commitments. For many of you, that will be expressed with your checkbook. But I also hope that some of you will choose to join us more actively, whether it's as a full-fledged Results member like me, or by committing to taking regular monthly actions. At each of your spots, there are green participation sheets. Please take a look at them and let us know how you would like to work with us towards the end of poverty. There are also donation envelopes at each of your spots. For those of you who are making a monetary donation, if you want a tax deduction, your donation should go to the Results Educational Fund, REF. Otherwise, it can go to Results. I'll repeat that. If you want a tax deduction, your donation should go to the Results Educational Fund. One way to give is to pledge a monthly gift, paid automatically from your checking account or your credit card, making planning ahead a little easier for the organization. That's your choice. I just ask that you look into your heart and find a donation to Results that fills you with hope. Thank you.